Yasser Arafat's widow, Suha, joins me now here in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming into Al Jazeera once again. Now, we saw your initial reaction in Clayton's report just a few minutes ago. What do you make now of all the international reaction that's been out in the last few hours? The Palestinian Authority says it will agree to exhume your husband's body. We have heard the chief negotiator there call for an international inquiry. Some are even calling for a criminal investigation. What do you make of all this reaction?
I'm so grateful. I expected this great reaction from the Palestinian Authority. They are Arafat's partner. Abu Mazen is Arafat's partner, and I expected this reaction that they will go further for an investigation. Saeb Erekat announced it lately, and I'm so much grateful that they will ask for an international community to inquire this crime and the Arab League and everybody.
You're calling it a crime. Before we move on to that, now to exhume his body and study, it requires permission not just from the Palestinian authorities but also from the Israelis. So procedurally, where are you right now? Have you made a formal request to the Israelis? Have you made a request to the Swiss authorities who started investigating this?
Not yet. I think all these procedures are officially in the hands of the Palestinian Authority. I join my voice to them, and I will support them till the end. Anything they would need legally from me to write any legal letters for the laboratory in Switzerland. So the Palestinian Authority is taking care of this, and they already announced that they're going to take care of this. President Abu Mazen, President Abbas, emphasized that he will go further for an investigation to discover who killed Arafat. So I think that the Israelis will make some obstacles. I'm sure that they will not let the...
So a formal request hasn't been made yet?
No,
to
not
the
yet.
Israelis.
I just heard the results yesterday. Can you imagine when I came to Doha, because the results has been only 3 days or 4 days after that he has polonium.
So how soon do you hope that his body will be exhumed to conduct these further tests?
I think after what the Palestinian Authority announced today, it will be rapid. And I asked them that they would do a rapid exhuming, because the doctors, the scientists in Switzerland said that we have to do it very quickly. If not, maybe we'll lose the possibility to find polonium in his body.
Now, I just want to come back, Mrs. Arafat, to some of the points that were made in our investigation. The French authorities say they no longer have any blood or tissue samples from Yasser Arafat. But what about the Palestinian doctors in Palestinian hospitals who treated him initially before he was transferred to France? Are you in contact with them? Do they have perhaps blood samples, urine samples in the Palestinian hospitals there?
I don't think
that could help.
I don't think they kept it. It did not occur to me to ask, but I asked the French.
So you haven't asked them?
I have not asked them, but I asked the French authority and the French hospital, who said that because nobody asked officially for any inquiry, after 4 years they destroyed all the samples.
Because if the Palestinian doctors still have samples, those could be checked, and we wouldn't have to exhume his body, perhaps.
Yes, of course, but I don't think that the Palestinian thought that they would have the samples, the doctors.
Okay, now you provided the Swiss, the belongings anyway, that the Swiss used to conduct these tests that revealed that there were high quantities of poloniums in Yasser Arafat's belongings. Where were these belongings for the last 8 years?
They were with me. They were kept in a very, very safe place, in a lawyer's place. And they were kept with his medical file. And I never touched it. It never occurred to me even to watch it, because each time I wanted to touch this bag of him, I was, it was a great respect that I keep his things. And when Clayton came to me and asked, we want the medical file, I said, okay, take it. He said, do you have any other things that might lead us to the truth? I said, I have his belongings, and it was his sweat on it, the blood was, the urine, everything was in his belongings, where they discovered a very high quantity of polonium.
What made you want to go ahead with these tests? After 8 years, what made you want to find out more? Were you suspicious from the beginning?
I was suspicious. Everybody was suspicious, but we had no proof till. And while I was walking in the streets all over the world, everybody would stop me, the Palestinian community, why you did not do anything? It's your responsibility as a wife, as a mother, as his partner for 20 years. You have to do something. So when Al Jazeera came to me and asked, what can we do? I'll seize the opportunity immediately.
All right. We have some viewers who are asking you questions that I'm going to read, but just briefly, before we get to that, if this next batch of tests finds more conclusive evidence, aren't you concerned about the implications of this? And what do you think the impact is going to be on Yasser Arafat's legacy if the tests prove conclusive?
He has a great legacy already without these tests, because he was a great man, a great sample. But this proofs will make him even more, an icon for the Palestinian people.
Aren't you afraid of the implications on the ground? With the Palestinians?
I think this will be more difficult to negotiate with the Israelis, because
nothing says there's no evidence of any Israeli involvement.
Of course,
yet. Right.
Nothing. But maybe it will influence on the negotiations, because it's. I don't accuse anybody. We don't know till now who put this polonium, if it does exist. Indeed. We have to always to say if it does exist in his body. I mean,
as you can imagine, Mrs. Arafat, this is a story that's generated a great deal of reaction from our viewers, and some of them have been tweeting questions ahead of this interview. One viewer, Abdurrahman Warsami, asks, how can you be sure that the exhumation and examination is carried out by clean, disinterested and honest hands?
Because this laboratory that Al Jazeera approached is the most important laboratory all over the world in nuclear and poison elements. And this laboratory, if they want to convict somebody who's going to go to be even sentenced to jail sentence, they go to this laboratory to prove crimes. This is an international physics laboratory, one of the most famous of the world. So this is a credible laboratory. We have no problem, and you know how the Swiss. And can you imagine, their reputation is on hand. They put all their reputation. This is the most important reputation.
Sure.
They are Swiss, the most, how can we find Swiss, the most neutral people in the world?
The Swiss are known as neutral.
Yes.
One last question, Mrs. Arafat, and this viewer asks, what has been your greatest challenge since your husband's death?
Greatest challenge is to keep his legacy. Greater challenge is to take care of my daughter, to face injustices, because when you are a widow, you face a lot of justices, because the husband is not here to defend you, and you have to be all the time strong. This is what is one of my great challenges.
Okay, thank you very much for coming into Al Jazeera and sharing your thoughts and experience with us. That's Suha Arafat, the widow of the late Palestinian President Yasser Arafat, and of course